Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2 for his weekly visit to the show. Parker Kelly with us. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun show for you today. We'll be joined by James Boyd, Colts writer for The Athletic, coming up at 9:30. Plenty of Titans talk and much more. Cory, how's it going? Thanks for coming in.
I am a delight.
I know you were watching the NSC game last night.
Yep.
Nashville SC advancing to the U.S. Open Cup final. They will play, is it Minnesota or
the winner of Minnesota-Austin tonight?
Right.
Yes.
And is that game next week?
No, it'll be October 1st.
Oh, okay. So coming up in a couple weeks. So.
Minnesota-Austin is tonight.
Right.
And then the winners play October 1st, and that'll either be at Minnesota or Austin. They will not be home, and that was just selected by random draw.
Right.
But last night was a spectacular performance. Sam Surridge, another hat trick. I mean, I think he's up around 26 goals in 32 matches. He's hitting superstar status in the U.S. right before our eyes. And I know not everybody's soccer guy, but not everybody's football guy or not everybody's hockey guy. You still have to appreciate when you're seeing greatness, and he's turning in a great season.
Yeah, we just watched SportsCenter Top 10 was playing behind us in the studio. His final goal was number 5 on there.
It was, and it
probably could have been higher.
Yeah, it was a thing of beauty. I mean, I can't sit here and draw it up for you, but to jump in midair and kind of cradle the ball with the inside of your foot and just in midair pop it over the goalie's head, they make it look so easy.
Right.
And I think that's, they call it the beautiful game, but that's truly. And I've heard the coaches say this, what great players do is make the incredibly hard look incredibly easy. And he made an incredibly hard play look like he could do it 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, the soccer players at that level, they do things that are so difficult, and it does impress me every time. It's soccer and hockey are the two sports that I look at, and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because like my foot-eye coordination is not good enough for soccer, and like the fact that hockey players do that on skates too, like it's very impressive. And Nashville SC, big win last night.
Yeah, really. I mean, they want to win a trophy. They make this argument that they want to be the first team in state to win a trophy, and yes, technically, but the U.S. Open Cup is not winning the MLS championship,
right?
And so it's not the same as winning the Super Bowl or winning the Stanley Cup. You need to win the MLS Cup if you're going to say you've got the first championship, because the Preds could say we were Western Conference champions.
Yep.
And the Titans could say we were AFC champions, and claim a championship. All right. There's banners up at Bridgestone Arena for everything for that.
Yeah.
All right. So while I think it would be awesome to have that trophy, and I am not disparaging that at all, it's apples and oranges.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
This would, I guess it would be kind of the equivalent of in the NBA, the in-season tournament, kind of like that. Well, you're excited to win it.
I don't think there's any contracts written where you get a bonus if you win the in-season tournament.
Yes. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So,
hey, LeBron, you get an extra, I know you make $58 million a year, but you're going to get an extra $1 million if you can win that in-season tournament.
Well, I know there is a financial reward for the team who does win it.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what the number is, but like it's not written into contracts of like
performance on in-season tournament.
Giannis, we're gonna give you this huge incentive if you win the.
And like when LeBron James or Giannis goes into the Basketball Hall of Fame, they're not going to say 3-time NBA champion, 4-time in-season tournament title holder.
Right.
That will not be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Nashville SC. It would be awesome to see them win that championship.
Absolutely.
But it is not winning the MLS.
Nope. And if they really want those flowers, they've got to win the MLS Cup. But winning this one is a really good start. It's playing these do or die games is great experience. They were clearly the better team last night. They beat Philadelphia for the third time. Philadelphia's first in the Eastern Conference. First.
Yep.
And they are 3-0 against them this year. So, and they had just gone through a rough stretch where they'd lost, I think, 4 or 5 matches. So to go out and play that well, And I mean, look, they took it to Philly all night last night, and by the end of the game, all Philly wanted to do was fight. They could, no, Philly could have gotten like a red card in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and they didn't make that call, and then they could have gotten another red card later. Didn't get that call. I mean, Eddie Tagseth got bloodied big time. Took an elbow to the eye. I mean, it looked like they were in Philly.
And Nashville, only 4 games left in the MLS regular season. It's coming up quick. They are currently 4th in the Eastern Conference, so lots to look forward to with the boys in gold. And again, big win last night. U.S. Open Cup final coming up on October 1st. Let's transition to the Titans here, Corey.
Yep.
It was another loss on Sunday, 33-19 to the Rams, and the Titans are 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've discussed since you started coming on the show, the expectation was the Titans were going to be 0-2 after 2 games.
Exactly right.
Those are 2 playoff teams that they faced. I think the way they lost the Broncos game disappointed a lot of people because they had the opportunity to win it.
I think the in-game gaffes.
Right.
And look, there's understandable outrage and upsetness with some of that stuff. I get it. I still can't believe what they did before halftime.
Right.
But I think that diminishes the fact that they played that game a lot closer than most fans thought they would.
For sure.
Going in. And so, you have to take the positives with the negatives. Okay. You have to say, gosh, this is horrible. I can't believe they did this. But, I thought they were going to lose that game by 2 touchdowns. And they had the ball twice with a chance to tie the game late. And then, you look at the Rams, who are a Super Bowl contending team. I mean, if they stay healthy, as constructed, they're really good. They're really good. And I went and watched that game again on what's today, Wednesday? I watched it again on Monday night. And, look, the Rams are clearly the better team. You would expect the Rams to clearly be the better team. But the Titans are winning that game 16-13 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. And then the defense collapses. That's not okay. And I know yesterday Denard Wilson talked about competitive endurance.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if it's endurance or focus, but that drive, they clearly let up. And then your very next offensive drive, you fumble on the doorstep and they score. And the game's over. That's how quickly it can turn in the NFL. And look, the better team won both those games. The only point I'm making is everybody's talking about this like they got their doors blown off for 4 quarters. And that's not the case. That's not the case. They've been competitive. They've been in these games. They should have been winning both of them at halftime. And saying should have been is a problem in itself. Because it means you did something not to.
Yep.
And that's a problem in itself. But they have been competitive with both of these teams for probably 7 of 8 quarters. And if you're looking for positives, and also if you're just looking to be realistic about it, that's reality. Do they need to be better? Hell yes. Of course they do. But they also could have last year when they played these teams, they lost 42-10.
Yes.
Okay. I saw Detroit. I saw Buffalo.
Washington.
Those games were not competitive. They got absolutely blistered in those games. And they didn't get blistered in these games. And is that supposed to be a victory? No. I think I'm just giving myself a reality check because I was just like, man, are they ever going to win a game? And look, they may not. They may not. No, I mean, they may not.
Right. We don't know.
We don't know. But I don't think it's so bad where you're like, well, they can't play with anybody.
No.
They played with these 2 teams for 7 quarters.
I agree. I said yesterday on the show that I think they've played better than I expected them to through 2 weeks. Like, they got the ball back even after they gave up the touchdown to go down 2016. You have the ball down by 4 with a chance to go answer, and Cam Ward makes a bad decision, holds the ball too long, fumbles. And from then on out, it was kind of game over. A couple plays later, that was when Snead gave up the touchdown to Devontae Adams on 3rd down. And when you're down 27-16 against a team of that caliber, you're probably not coming back. But you're right. This is a team that has been competitive with 2 playoff teams through the first 2 weeks. Now you get a team in the Colts who they've looked good, but
haven't punted.
Right. Have not punted. First team in the Super Bowl era to not punt through their first 2 games. And they're 2-0. Should be 1-1 if it wasn't for Sean Payton.
It was a gift.
Right.
It was, look, making that call is a gift.
The Titans have had that before. Back in part of that 7-game losing streak in 2021, Jeffrey Simmons got called for leverage, allowed the Bengals to kneel it out.
Did you think that was leverage?
No.
Okay.
But
so that's what I'm saying. To make that call on a 70-yard field goal, that is the last play of the game.
Yeah.
All right. To say, you know what? The game's not over. We're going to let you kick it, and we're going to let you kick it 15 yards closer.
Yeah.
I mean, you better be darn sure that this was a blatant breaking of the rules.
You can see why they called it, but yeah, it wasn't clear and obvious. And Sean Payton said he's like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have put the block call on. I'm like, yeah, maybe on a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game, you don't try and block it.
And so, Brian Callahan's taking it in the shorts right now. And when you're 3-16, you do. But Sean Payton makes a horrible decision at the end of the Titans game that gives the Titans a chance to tie. And now makes another bad decision this week.
Yeah.
Okay. And, but he's Sean Payton.
Right. He's got a Super Bowl ring to back it up at the very least.
But so he can get away with it right now. But imagine if Brian Callahan did that, because his results don't back it up. But I guess I'm just saying great coaches also make mistakes.
No, it is true. If Brian Callahan had made the same mistake, like Callahan's made his own mistakes, but if he had coached the Broncos, or the Titans the way Sean Payton has coached the Broncos for 2 weeks, I think the calls for his job would be even louder than they are right now.
So Jake, I've been on the show for 2 months with you now?
Yeah, right around there.
You know that one of my favorite things to talk about is mitigating disaster.
Yep.
All right. And I think a big part of a quarterback's job is to mitigate disaster and negative plays. And I think part of being a coach, and this goes to Callahan in Denver, mitigating disaster. And I think he did a really good job of that this week after the interception when he ran the ball and got the field goal. I know everybody wanted him to go for the touchdown, but he has seen it go wrong.
Oh, for sure.
And he was like, I don't trust my team. I mean, he didn't say this. This is my observation. I don't trust my team to not blow this. Okay. So we're going to run the ball. I know Joey Sly's going to knock it through, and we're going to get our 3 points. And I think that was 100% the right decision.
I think I could have used maybe one aggressive play call, but I also understand why he did it, because it's just like after last week and the reaction to what he did at the end of the half in Denver, it makes sense that he just decided, let's pack it up, take our 3 and get into the locker room.
All right. Have you ever seen like a 1-year-old with their birthday cake?
No, I'm sure I have, but I can't.
It's called a smash cake for a reason. Okay. So the next, if you had another birthday cake, pretty birthday cake.
Yeah.
Because you make a smash cake and then a birthday cake. So if you gave him the smash cake, and he did what they do to smash cakes, and then you've got the pretty birthday cake, are you going to leave him alone in the room with the pretty cake after that?
No, probably not.
No. Why? Because you learned that he's going to destroy that damn thing.
Yeah.
That's right. So, yeah. That one was the smash cake already happened.
Yeah.
All right. We were on to the pretty birthday cake. Okay. And he made the right decision. People can hate me. You can hate me all you want. Okay. They got 3 points. They had the lead. Boom.
Right. It's a situation for Brian Callahan. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yes.
It's like you take the points and people are going to say you weren't aggressive enough.
If they win that game by 3 points,
right.
People are like, oh, he was so smart to do that.
He was a genius.
Blah, 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 but you lose the game, and no, it doesn't happen. And the other thing is Cam Ward's not there yet.
Yeah.
We like Cam Ward. All right. And we see good things from Cam Ward, but he's not Joe Burrow yet. He's not Josh Allen yet. He's not Lamar Jackson yet. You give those guys that leeway. This kid's 2 games into his NFL career. Let him work some stuff out. Then let him have a little bit more say, take a few chances. Don't put him in position to screw things up because he's trying to make a play.
Yeah.
All right. Because the good ones know it's not there. I'm chucking it into the stands. All right. I mean, you have to accept second down sometimes. And you don't have to put him in that position. And you don't have to put your offensive line in position to really screw things up as well.
That is true. Without J.C. Latham out there as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman joined by Cory Curtis from News 2 for the full show today. Again, James Boyd from The Athletic, who writes about the Colts, will join us at 9:30. We'll talk a little bit about Titans Colts coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Back-to-back days with Go Cubs Go.
Hey, I had to pay homage to Cory Curtis.
1984.
Cubs Cubs are in the driver's seat for the top wild card, right?
Yeah,
Like they're
because I mean, the Brewers went on that
right.
ungodly run.
Yeah.
And at that point, you throw up your hands and you say, "Hey, congratulations, you win the division," and you play for the playoffs, and you say, "We'll go get them in the postseason," and that's kind of where we're at. And and I'm not going to get on a huge Cubs rant, but with what they've lost in the pitching staff this season to be where they are right now, I think is pretty remarkable, and actually gives you hope. Now they've got to sign Kyle Tucker to a contract extension, and this ownership group has not shown a lot of interest in paying to keep good players around. And so, he's clearly a difference maker for them.
Yeah.
They need to pay him. And they're going to have to pay Pete Crow Armstrong at some point too. But you know what? They've got the money. All right. You know what they are right now? They are Heath Ledger as the Joker in Batman. All right. In Dark Knight Rises. And that he is sitting on that mountain of mob money.
I love that comparison right there. That's awesome.
That
That's
is
awesome.
Cubs ownership. And and then they're looking at players going, "Are we going to pay any of these guys?" And they're looking at their mountain of money going,
Nah.
Are they still coming to the game anyway? Good luck in San Diego.
Yeah, and speaking of San Diego, likely the Cubs' first-round matchup in the playoffs.
Okay.
Cubs-Padres and Mets-Dodgers on the other side. And we'll have...
I'd rather play... I don't want to play the Dodgers regardless of whatever struggles they've had.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have the Padres or the Mets. I'd probably rather have the Mets most.
Those are going to be two good series. And speaking of the Mets, Teron Davenport will be on tomorrow. We'll have to get his thoughts on his Mets with 2 weeks to go.
Me and Teron to have a head-to-head series.
Yeah. That is true. If we could get Mets Cubs.
Yeah. It's funny because like the Bears colors are navy and orange, but it looks so much better than the hideous blue orange of the Mets. Sorry, Teron. It's not attractive. It's not attractive.
Yeah, it's true. As somebody who grew up hating the University of Virginia, blue and orange, not my favorite colors.
Wow. Yeah.
How
do you hate Virginia? What have they ever done to anyone?
I mean, being a Virginia Tech fan since I was 2 years old, I was brainwashed into hating the Wahoos.
I covered one Virginia game when I was working in Virginia for a year.
Really?
And I got into a fight with El Gro.
Really? Al Gro.
One game.
Yeah.
And I'm in the post game with them, and we get in a fight.
That's so funny.
And people are looking at me. They didn't know who I was. I was working in Norfolk for a year. And I went up to the game, and he coached a horrible game. And I was like, what were you doing? And he got all upset with me. And I'm like reading the stat. I'm like, well, this is what this guy did.
Right.
You don't know anything about this football team. I go, well, I know they lost today.
Yeah. UVA has not had a whole lot of great head coaches in the last 25 years.
John Glennon, big UVA guy.
Yeah. I mean, I
feel bad for him.
I grew up like the Grinch, hating the Who's. That was what I was brainwashed to be as a young child. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, next man up 1025 The Game. Going to be joined shortly by James Boyd, Colts writer from The Athletic. But first, let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ed from New Jersey is on the line wanting to talk Titans. Right. Ed, good morning. What you got for us?
Good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to talk about this roster, and I guess my question is when does it become a crutch or an excuse, for a staff not to get the most out of that roster? And I look over at special teams, and I think we can all agree that Bones Fossil is getting the most out of his roster. Players who don't start, the back half of the roster, he's getting more out of than the rest of the staff. So do we think it's gone to – now, does that mean that the roster's better than we think it is, or is it Fossil just a better coach than the rest of the staff? So I struggle with, isn't it the onus on the coaching staff to get the most out of the hand that you've been dealt? And maybe I'm jaded because we've come from a coaching staff, we come from the Vrabel era who routinely got, blood out of a stone. So, I mean, I don't know, but I just don't see evidence that Callahan or even Wilson is getting the best out of the hand that they've been dealt. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, Ed, I think that is a really, really good question and the right question to be asking right now. And, so let's use special teams as an example, because Bones Fossil is a wonderful coach, and Brian Callahan gets credit for hiring him. He made his team better by hiring him. But what else did they do on special teams? They brought in Johnny Hecker. All right. Ryan Stonehouse, we love him. He's not on an NFL team right now. Why? Because it took him too long to get the ball off.
Right.
All right. They've got Johnny Hecker now. They've got Joey Sly now. Joey Sly is making kicks that Nick Folk couldn't make.
8 for 8 this year.
If Nick Folk was the Titans kicker this year, they would not have as many points as they have scored.
For sure.
Okay. So they've gotten 2 better players there. That has made them better. Okay. So personnel does matter there. Bryce Oliver is back. Okay. He was good at the end of last season in covering punts and kicks. He's better now. So they did make him better last year, but John Fossil takes it to another level. But I think he's absolutely right. John Fossil getting the most out of his group. Now his group did make a mistake. They did commit a penalty. It took 7 points off the board.
Yep.
Brian Callahan gets crucified for that. But like we talked about with Sean Payton, John Fossil's bulk of his results are really good. And, he truly does get the most out of his guys. And he teaches different than everyone else does. Okay. He's not just the same special teams coach. He barely teaches strategy. Okay. He teaches one-on-one. This is your man. Beat this man. And he teaches guys how to defeat their man. All right. And they love playing for him. They love being in his meetings. And so you've got to elevate your guys. He is unquestionably, elevating his guys. He's gotten some better guys too, and that matters. But you're right, because did the Titans get better guys on the offensive line? We think so, but they got to elevate them.
Yep.
And so results are one thing to argue. Elevating the guys on your roster is another, and that's probably the bigger concern. All right. Can these guys get more out of the 2 players on the team? Because I always say the same thing, Jake. You're allowed to get better. We see it over and over again. You're allowed to get better. The Rams a couple years ago gutted the ship, but they got better. They brought in all new players on the offensive line and everything, and they still got better. And so I think Ed is making a very important point that the roster may not be good enough, but even if these guys are not good enough, we still need to see signs that they're getting better.
Yep. And I think the offensive line is the focal point there. When you have a coach like Bill Callahan, can he get these guys better? And
well, okay, we're 2 games in, so it's a really small sample size. Who's gotten better? Can you definitively say anybody who's gotten better
on the offensive line or just on the team?
On the team.
I think Skoronski for sure
Skoronski's
stands out.
I think Io Manor, since he walked in the door, has gotten better.
Yeah.
I think Cedric Gray has gotten better. I know he made some mistakes in this game, but I think he's a guy who's better than he was last year.
I'm trying to think through anybody else. I mean it's just not a big group.
Yeah, I mean Roger McCreary is playing
well.
Roger
McCreary's played well. I think L'Jarius Sneed looked solid, and we'll talk more about him later.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he was able to get through a game is all I'm really looking at. But I think we should be looking. I mean, it's like I said, it's only 2 games, so that's not a great big sample size. But they need more guys to show that they're better. Chig and Gunner have got to get better at blocking. I mean, and if they don't get better at blocking, then it's the team's fault for not having somebody in there who can block. Okay. Because at some point you have to recognize these guys can't do this. All right. And it's either they pick it up or we find somebody who can. Those are the hard choices to make, but you make them. All right. Hope is not a strategy. Okay.
That's a good point.
Hoping that they will eventually learn to block is not a strategy. Now, if you see signs and you think they're picking it up and that they're close, that's entirely something different. But just going out there and hoping, well, maybe this is the week Chig just buries that guy.
Yeah.
That's something entirely different. They've got to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. When we come back, we'll be joined by James Boyd, Colts writer for The Athletic. We'll preview Colts and Titans. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. What a way to come back. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, spinning some theme music here as the Colts are in town this week, and we are pleased to be joined on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai, by James Boyd, Colts writer for The Athletic. James, thanks for taking some time this morning. Excited for the game this weekend.
Absolutely. First road game of the year for the Colts, and always happy to make the trip over to Nashville.
Yes, excited to have you in the city this weekend.
Of course they're happy to make the trip. They usually win here.
Yes, that is a very good point.
That is also true.
Usually ends well for the Colts coming down here to Nashville. James, good start for the Colts. Haven't punted in 2 games, 2-0. What's been the energy around that building and around the city for a team that, I don't think heading into the season there was a ton of lofty expectations, but obviously have gotten off to a great start.
Absolutely. I've been eating crow the last couple of weeks because going into it, I was very skeptical. I know you brought up the whole they hadn't punted in 2 games fact, which it is true. However, there's some context there. They had 2 failed 4th downs last week. So everyone keeps throwing that out there like they haven't, had some failures on offense, but they have been few and far between for this team. I think the biggest surprise overall has to be the play of Daniel Jones. I mean, he has been lights out. And you look at his numbers, he's right up there with some of the best passers, best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, some of these leaderboards, they include Daniel Jones as well. And the biggest thing for me, you all, is that with the Daniel Jones redemption arc, narrative, a lot of it, in my opinion, I thought will be stimulated from him being used as a runner as well. And kind of looking at what he did when he had success with the Giants. Well, that year they went to the playoffs with him, he ran the ball a lot, and it was very game manager type of quarterback play. He's out there winning games for them this year and through the first 2 games, throwing the ball a lot and looking really good through the air.
Yeah, you mentioned Daniel Jones. I think, obviously the quarterback competition with Anthony Richardson heading into the year. What has Daniel Jones shown over these first couple games and through training camp that allowed him to win that job and really put himself back in the conversation of being a quality quarterback in this league?
Well, first of all, you're calling him by the wrong name because around here they call him Dimes. And so you hear the players, the people in the city, it's not Danny Dimes, it's not anything other than that. It's just Dimes. And so I think what I've noticed the most is really the consistency. And that's something that Shane Steichen really harped on all offseason because we were asking him hey, we know that Daniel Jones can give you consistency, but he can't really give you, at least throughout his career, he hasn't given you a lot of explosive plays. Which one do you kind of prefer? The guy who can be consistent but not explosive, or the explosive guy who can be a little more erratic? And he made it clear early and often, we need consistency, and that's what they've given him in that position by, starting Daniel Jones. So I think that's why Daniel Jones ultimately won the job over Anthony, and that's ultimately why he'll keep the job as well, because looking at these last 2 games, I cannot sit here and say, oh my gosh, Anthony Richardson would have done the same things. Not necessarily. Throwing at this rate, at this clip, on time, on target, that is not something that Anthony has shown he can do through his first 2 years of his career, whereas Daniel Jones, he has shown the ability, when given a clean pocket, to get to the ball to his receivers, the playmakers, let's do their thing. And so he has been playing some of the best football of his career. And like I said, he is known as Dimes around here, as far as these parts go.
When you look at this Colts team, I'm at a 180 of where I'm usually at. And when the season started, everybody was banging the Colts. And I said, if Dimes can be okay, I think this team can push for the playoffs when you look at their roster. Michael Pittman was hurt last year. Michael Pittman is a good football player. Downs is a good football player. Jonathan Taylor is an excellent football player. And now you add Tyler Warren to the mix. There's not a lot of holes on that Colts offense. If the quarterback can just manage that and distribute that ball, that team should be pretty good. How much has Warren finished this thing out for them?
Absolutely. That is a great point you just made. I think Tyler Warren is already their number 1 option through the air. That's how they're treating him. The amount of versatile looks he's given them, whether he's lining up in the backfield, lining up in line as a traditional tight end, lining up on the outside as a wide receiver, taking handoffs. I expect at some point in the season, we might even see a pass, when you get down near the goal line, a Tim Tebow jump pass type of thing, because he's that versatile. And I think, to your point, the reason why I wasn't like super low on the Colts. I wasn't sold on them with Daniel Jones. Don't get me wrong. But the reason why I didn't expect them to like bottom out is because they have hit on pretty much everything else except quarterback. Do they have a true number one receiver? Probably not. They got a lot of B-list guys. And to me, if you have a quarterback who's kind of like a point guard who can get everyone the ball, that might be a little bit better than being so top heavy with your skill position players where you have that drop off when it comes to the other guys, in those rooms. And so there isn't a whole lot of drop off between Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman Jr., even A.D. Mitchell getting on some of the action. So they have options there. And I think Tyler Warren has just enhanced it. They have not had a true tight end one in years. And absolutely, you can see it through the first two games that this guy is turning into, or at least showing that he can be a star in this league.
Now, offensively for the Titans, we're back looking at the tackle position again right now with J.C. Latham out until we hear he's back in. Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, how much do you think those guys can take advantage of what the Titans are going to put there on the edge?
That's a great question. I do think that the pass rush has been a question mark for the Colts the first two games. They haven't got as much pressure on the quarterback as they would like to, at least from their guys that they obviously paid a big money to get after the quarterback. I expect them to give Tennessee some challenges, but it's not something where I'm 100% sold on their pass rush. And I think the key, obviously, for Cam Moore will be to get the ball out quicker and hope that you can survive some of, the looks you're going to get and really, try to get some hits up off of you, because being hit that much as he has, it's not going to create good habits for him. But one thing to keep in mind for the Titans is the availability of Laiatu Latu. This is the Colts' first-round pick from last year. He did not play last week because of a hamstring injury. And I wonder if they will keep him out this week as well, because you know how hamstrings can be. They can be finicky. They can be kind of nagging.
Yeah, you got to play the long game.
You want to be smart with that. And you don't want to, re-aggravate that.
Talking with James Boyd, Colts writer for The Athletic. Last one for you, James. Jonathan Taylor this year, leading the NFL in rushing yards. He's been a playmaker, and I think people forget that he was considered a top three.
Well, the Broncos forgot because they decided not to cover him in the flat. They just said, we'll just let him run free.
How have you seen him kind of return to form to being an elite running back in the NFL, and maybe remind some people how talented he really can be in the backfield for the Colts?
Absolutely. I think the last 4 or 5 games of last year, he really turned it on and was balling, and he picked up right where he left off. But what's been impressive to me, you all, is not just the running. We know he can run the ball, and he's been one of the more dynamic runners in the league the last 5 or 6 years, but his pass protection has been so much better through the first 2 games this year than probably any time I've seen him in my 4 years of covering him.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about that this week. I mean,
the
Titans don't rush the passer, so he'll be good.
Good point. But, you never know. They want to get any hits on Daniel Jones, right? And then, to your point, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, I think they've kind of exploited that even more this year and explored some of those options. And, again, none of that really happens if you don't have the other, players around him to take a position away from him. So he's a talented position group, and he is a stud. I mean, I joke with him all the time about some of his speed. He told us the other day, when he's running at 22 miles an hour, it doesn't feel that fast. And I was like, yeah, for you, because you're an alien.
James, always appreciate you taking some time. Hope you travel safe and enjoy Nashville this weekend.
Much appreciated. Whenever you all need me, feel free to hit me up.
James Boyd covers the Colts for The Athletic. Really appreciate him coming on. Great stuff on Indianapolis as the Titans get ready for their first AFC South matchup this weekend. We'll react to what James had to say on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds take on Louisville with first pitch at 11:05 a.m. So coming up in just over an hour. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Jake Lyman joined by Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly on this Wednesday. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Just had James Boyd from The Athletic on. He covers the Colts. Really good insights from James on what the Titans can expect with Indianapolis this week. And, from what we may have expected at the beginning of the year with the Colts coming in here in week 3, I think it's completely flipped on its head. This offense has been efficient. Daniel Jones has proven that he can be a distributor for, like you mentioned to James, a very talented group of weapons from Jonathan Taylor to Tyler Warren to that group of receivers that they've got.
Well, like I've said, I like to bang on the Colts because I feel like they're treated like royalty, even though they have not been relevant since 2014.
Yep.
Okay. Did you shave in 2014?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's been a while. And so the way the Colts get treated drives me nuts. But I thought going into this season, when I saw their draft, which I liked, okay, and I really liked Tyler Warren, and, I knew Pittman was coming back healthy. And, they've got offensive linemen. It may not be complete unit that they used to have, but they've got offensive linemen. They still got, and I'm just looking, I'm like, and I thought, look, I've never been a Daniel Jones guy. The contract with New York was terrible. At the same time, they had to have another plan from Anthony Richardson, who showed he was clearly not up to being at this stage of his life. Okay. Not up to being a starting quarterback in the NFL. When you tap out of a game, that's bad. That's bad. And so when, I just said, if Daniel Jones can be average, just like quarterback number 18, 20 in the NFL, I'm like, with the division that this team is in,
especially the way the Texans have looked through 2 weeks,
I'm like, this team can win, 8, 9, 10 games, maybe even. And that's exactly how they look. Look, we said they got a bit of a gift Sunday, but they were still right there.
Right.
I mean, they're still right there with the Broncos. And if you're the Colts, you're wondering, when does the glass slipper come off?
That's what I was literally about to say. When does Daniel Jones turn back into a pumpkin? That's kind of what we're
maybe
waiting
he doesn't.
on, but maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he's got good enough players around him finally where he can just be Daniel Jones and doesn't have to try to be something else.
Right. And we've seen that with a ton of quarterbacks lately. Baker Mayfield in Tampa, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. These guys are talented. There's a reason they were first-round picks. And Daniel Jones has led a team to the playoffs before. Mm-hmm. It's just about getting him in the right situation where you're not asking him to do too much.
Now, will it surprise me if he turns into a pumpkin? No, not horribly. Not horribly, but I'm willing to give him the opportunity to continue this run because I like a lot of the players around him. And, I went over with you with the breaks, comparing Titans to Colts. Who's better?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot on the Titans side that's better.
Right. And, we just went through the Titans draft classes again, that from 2020 to 2023, you have 4 players from those draft classes left. That needs to be the core of your team right now.
Yeah.
For the Colts, the core of their team is those draft classes.
And not just misses, first round misses. I just listed a bunch of players with you, and they were all Colts first round picks.
Yep.
Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman.
Taylor was a second round pick, just barely though.
Okay. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, second round pick. Quentin Nelson. I mean, they hit on a lot of picks. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you got to hit on your first round picks. You just do. Everybody misses one once in a while. It happens. But when you miss like 3 in a row, like some GMs have done in the NFL, it really hamstrings your team. Some people make excuses for those GMs, but some get fired.
Right. I like to make fun of the Raiders and the Mike Mayock first round picks because they were all pretty horrible. But you look at the Titans over that pretty much the same stretch, it's not that much better.
No.
So 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's go back to our phone lines. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam from Portland is on the line wanting to chat about Brian Callahan. Adam, good morning. Go ahead.
Well, Cory, I was told I could call back and you had a list for me.
Yeah, we're going to compare him and Wisenhunt?
The list.
Yeah.
And, here's the thing, though, dude. I can remember being, because, man, I'm a 99 fan. So the whole way, I can remember being depressed seeing him destroy Marcus. I'm like, God, dude, he's so dumb. Like everything he's doing is wrong. He seems like a prick. Like nobody would want to talk to him.
Yeah,
but
these are all accurate,
redeeming quality. But then Brian Callahan, he's nice, but he's everything else. He's the same dude except nice. He's like, he's going to ruin my quarterback. His dad's going to ruin my quarterback. They're lying to us. They're phonies. They don't know how to protect the quarterback, like in any manner. Cincinnati, even Peyton, his last year, like I'm looking back, dude. I'm going to the archives, going, this guy's never been able to do it. So you got to give me something here, man. If you tell me this is what you could look at to be hopeful with this coach, I'll drop it for a little bit.
Well,
but I can't. Right now, I'm on edge with this guy.
You've got every right to be on edge with him at 3-16. But Ken Wisenhunt sat in a chair and told me that Zach Mettenberger could save the franchise. That was a disqualifier. Okay, that was a disqualifier.
Yeah.
All right. Ken Wisenhunt had people in the building begging him to protect the quarterback, begging him, and he would not listen to anyone because he knew everything. All right. Now, Brian Callahan has changed some things. If I have a criticism, it's along what he's talking about with those lines. I think they can do more to protect the quarterback. I think they can keep more people in to protect the quarterback, run patterns with fewer receivers. It may not be pretty. It can be done, and I've seen it be done. The other problem they've got, though, is the tight ends that they want to keep in to help block occasionally aren't particularly good at
blocking.
Good at blocking. Now, I think Brian Callahan is much more flexible than Ken Wisenhunt in what he's willing to do and willing to change. I think Brian Callahan is wildly more liked and respected by his own team. Okay. So that's another thing that I would give hope for. But again, hope isn't a strategy. All right. Eventually the results have to happen. But you can compare the two in the results without question. You can. I also haven't heard Brian Callahan, bang the table for Dorial Green Beckham in the second round, which was a demand that was made under that coaching administration when they had a 5th round grade on him. So, like they're different. The results are the same. And this is a results driven business. And so ultimately you go 3-21, you get fired.
Yep.
All right. And if Brian Callahan is sitting here with 5 more losses in a row and he's 3-21, the vultures are going to be circling, and rightfully so, because it is a results driven business. Like I've said before, you lost 2 games you expected to lose. Okay. Now you've got what? The Colts. Who's next?
Texans, Cardinals, Raiders, all on the road after that.
Okay. Well, look, you got to win. You got to beat some of those teams.
I think you got to win 2 of these next 4.
Well,
to feel like you're moving in the right direction.
I mean, none of those teams are unbeatable.
Right.
The Texans are 0-2. They've lost to 2 division winners.
Yep. But
their offensive line is a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a little bit worried of what Will Anderson versus Dan Moore is going to look like.
Yeah, sure. You should. You should. And, when the Titans went to Houston with Zach Mettenberger at quarterback, and they had, I can't remember the guy's name who was the left tackle that day. Everybody says it was Jeremiah Potassi. It wasn't. He was the right tackle.
Yeah, I know. I know who you're talking about.
The left tackle, they just got him off the street.
Yes.
And they started him, and they gave him no help.
That was when J.J. Watt took the selfie with Zach Mettenberger.
No, that was at Nissan Stadium.
Okay, gotcha.
That was Zach's first start. But so in that game, they refused to give the left tackle help. He was crying in the locker room at halftime. Okay. And they still refused to give him help in the second half. All right. They got embarrassed, and he got fired, and he should have. It was malpractice. I know the GM went down at halftime and said, "What are you doing?" And he was told to go away. And so, I mean, the guys,
right.
The level of incompetence was in arrogance was massive.
Right. You can compare the results, but it does seem like the culture around Brian Callahan is in a much better place.
And look, that doesn't matter if you can't win.
No,
and if you're a bad team,
the results have to be there too.
But if you're asking me, what's the difference? There's a difference, and I think flexibility is a big difference in willing to accept to do things differently. But all the flexibility in the world doesn't matter if you don't get better and you don't win games.
Yep.
All right. And so, he's got to start winning some games. Now the next 4 games, I'm not going to say they should beat this team. They should beat this team. But they're not playing the Rams or the Broncos the next 4 weeks.
You can't go 0-4. You've got to show that you can win football games.
You got to find a way to win instead of find a way to lose.
Right.
You hope, okay, but this is one of the things we talk about with Cam Ward. Every coach he's had says he's a culture changer.
Yep.
All right. You hope that starts to kick in. All right, and he starts elevating his team. All right, because I was having this conversation about somebody yesterday, wanting to see the quarterback elevate the team and the quarterback not doing it. I wish I could remember the example that it was. Diego Pavia is a great example.
Yeah.
Just massively elevating Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava did not elevate Tennessee.
For sure.
And Joey Aguilar is.
Yep.
Joey Aguilar is. He is elevating. He is getting more from that roster than Nico did. And now Nico's gotten another coach fired. All right. And that's not putting everything on the quarterback. What I'm saying is Titans drafted Cam Ward because they were the belief was he was going to help elevate everything. That takes some time. Took Joe Burrow some time. It takes most of them some time. But they need that time to come sooner than later, or Brian Callahan will run out of time.
100%. And you bring up Diego Pavia and Joey Aguilar. That's a perfect transition to where we're going to start in hour number 2.
By the way, Terry McCormick just hit me up, and I appreciate it. He's right on the money. It was Will Svitek.
Oh,
Will
Svitek.
Picked up off the street and left out on an island with J.J. Watt.
Titans legend, Will Svitek.
I'm sorry for Will. I feel badly for him.
Yeah, no, that's a tough situation to be thrown into. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. As I mentioned, we're going to get into Vanderbilt and Tennessee in hour number 2. Vandy with the big win on Saturday. Yesterday, some drama around Diego Pavia. Ended up being much ado about nothing. And we'll also talk a little bit of a comparison between Diego and Joey Aguilar.
There's a lot to compare there.
Right. Both of them have gotten off to strong starts this year. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2 with you for the full show today. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We are going to talk Vanderbilt and Tennessee over the next couple of segments. I did just look up, and we always have Good Morning Football on in the studio here, and they asked the question, which 0-2 team are you least worried about heading into week 3? And for some reason, Kyle Brandt said the Tennessee Titans.
Well, the expectation is probably the lowest.
I guess, yeah, maybe least worried is like, yeah, I expected them to be here. But you look at the Chiefs are in that conversation too. But maybe you're more worried about them because of the expectations.
Well,
I don't know.
You know what I said about the Chiefs this week? And look, I know the Chiefs are still going to be good. They look old and boring.
They do. They looked old and boring last year too.
Yeah, but they look even older and boringer this year.
Yes, they do. So just to, Kyle Brandt not worried about the Titans after 2 straight losses. So,
well, I mean, okay.
You expected them to lose for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if Cam Ward were hurt, I'd be like, yeah, I'm worried about him.
Yeah, no, I'm just Kyle Brandt always seems to be the guy on the Titans side.
He picks up the flagpole for him.
He is one of the Titans' biggest backers, and Cam Ward's biggest backers. So we'll see. Maybe he's right. Maybe the Titans come out and win on Sunday. Let's get into Vanderbilt. Big win on Saturday. 31-7 over South Carolina. And yes, Lenore Sellers did not play in the second half of that game. But Vanderbilt now 3-0, ranked 20th in the country. This team likely should be 5-0 heading to Tuscaloosa in a couple of weeks, putting themselves firmly in the college football playoff discussion. Obviously, a lot has to go their way. They have to continue to play this way against really good teams. But to say that Vanderbilt on September 17th is firmly in the college football playoff discussion just shows how much Clark Lee has turned this program around in just a couple of years.
Yes, Clark Lee.
Diego Pavia, for sure.
Diego Pavia and Coach Kill.
Yep, Jerry Kill.
Jerry Kill's a part of it. And again, I'm not trying to take away from Coach Lee. Coach Lee hired him, and Coach Lee brought in Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
He understood he needed more. And you're limited on what more can mean at Vanderbilt. And so bringing those guys in has completely changed things. So yes, I shouldn't curl my nose, but yes, Clark Lee has changed things.
Yes.
All right. But Diego Pavia is such a lightning bolt. I mean, he is a lightning bolt. I mean, James Franklin was a lightning bolt for them. All right. Diego Pavia is a lightning bolt. You really wonder, how do you keep it up after this? And I know you got to enjoy this ride while you've got it, but I'm already wondering, the expectations are going to be raised now.
Yep.
How do you stay on this ride? Because you're going to have somebody back there. You're not going to find another Pavia.
Yes, there's not just Diego Pavias walking around everywhere.
No, but you got to find somebody who can do it. I mean, it's like the Vols. They had Hendon Hooker. And they didn't know what they had.
Yep.
Or else he would have started his first day in the door.
Well, and Vols fans thought, imagine how good Nico can be if Hendon was that good, because Nico was a 5-star quarterback.
Joe Milton was a 5-star quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, and neither of those guys were as good, because some guys have it. All right. It. Cam Newton. It.
Yep.
Tim Tebow had it in college football. All right.
Yep.
Diego Pavia is it. All right. And so that's going to be the difficulty. But if you don't think they're in the playoff conversation, I don't think you're looking at it realistically. My only concern this week is that they try to score 7 touchdowns on the first drive.
Yeah.
Because they are amped for this one.
Yes.
Because they lost a game last year that they are humiliated that they lost, and they want to win by 50 points. They won't say that. I will say it for them. Okay. So they are pissed off for greatness this week. And I think the big thing is, can they stay healthy the next 2 weeks for Alabama?
Yeah, and I mentioned it too, that like Georgia State, I'm not as worried about them. There's not going to be a letdown for Georgia State after what happened in Atlanta last year. Utah State, I could see it, but I think Clark Lee's got those guys locked in right now. The expectation is that they will be 5-0 and likely a top 15 team in the country playing it at Alabama in a couple of weeks.
And I'm not writing them off in that game.
I don't think you can say there is not a game that Vanderbilt can't win right now. There are games that they shouldn't win, but I don't know if there's games that they can't win left on this schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
the way they played.
Texas just beat UTEP by 17.
Yeah.
All right. And they've got question at starting quarterback, which nobody thought was going to be the case. But right now, everybody's wondering, do they replace Arch at some point? Because he's not good enough.
It has not looked good for Arch Manning.
No.
At all.
And all the people who are giving him all that money.
Yeah.
Because he's making a lot of money.
You look at these teams that at the beginning of the season, you look at and you say, man, Vandy probably not winning that game. Alabama's lost to Florida State. And I get they've looked good the last couple of weeks, but they're gettable.
Wisconsin's awful.
Right. And they were playing with a backup quarterback.
Wisconsin's awful, and they beat them. They didn't humiliate them.
Yeah.
Old Alabama humiliates them. All right. This isn't old Alabama. They may have old Alabama players.
Yeah.
This isn't old Alabama. And until they show me they are old Alabama, they're not.
And for LSU coming here, that offense has not looked great. And
yeah, Brian Kelly don't want to hear about it.
Right. And it's like they're two big wins this year. Clemson's 1-2.
Yep.
Florida's 1-2.
Florida got drilled by South Florida.
Yep. So that game's easier. Texas, their quarterback situation, it's like all those games that at the beginning of the year, you're like, yeah, Vandy probably not going to have a chance in those ones. They look a lot more winnable right now. So
and they don't. The thing is, they don't have to win them all.
No. If winning that South Carolina game has given them the leeway of if you can just win one of those games and take care of the business in your home games, then you can go to Neyland Stadium in the final week of the season with a chance to go to the playoffs.
I think it would be one of the great moments in Tennessee sports history, not the school, the state, if Vanderbilt met Tennessee the final week of the season with the winner going to the college football playoff.
It would be electric. And
with Diego Pavia at quarterback, because who knows what he's going to say that week.
Well, and yesterday you were talking about Vandy having to replace Pavia. Yesterday it looked for a minute like they might try and get another year for him. I guess they were doing arguments in his lawsuit with the NCAA.
Yeah,
and the lawyer said they're going to try and stack on another year.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're going to do that just to show that they can do it. But Diego Pavia came out and said this is his final year. So
you want my guess on what happened here?
Yeah.
So the NCAA was going back to court trying to get his last win reversed right at the last minute.
Oh.
Okay. So they were trying to appeal that decision,
yeah.
even with the season just starting.
Well, they put in a waiver in that first decision that they said that Diego's eligibility can't be taken away by any future court decision.
Well, and so I think what Diego's attorney said, well, we're going to go after a 7th year and at that point use that as leverage of, hey, we'll make this go away if you guys just go away.
Yeah.
And I could be dead wrong about that. That's my guess.
It's very possible.
Let's just play football.
Yeah.
And because the idea of a 7th year is it's laughable to all of us. But, people do things for leverage in politics and in sports. And I think my guess is that's a leverage move. Now, having said that, is Diego Pavia ever going to make money in the NFL?
Probably. Not as much as he's making in college.
Well, probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very good chance he never makes an NFL roster.
Right. He will get a chance at training camp next year, but I doubt that he is going to be on an NFL roster.
But I mean, he makes over $1 million is what I've heard this year at Vanderbilt. Yep. So just like Zakai Ziegler wanted to go back to Tennessee last year because he knew he could make over $2 million playing for the Vols this year. I think the number I heard was 2.4.
Yeah.
So he wanted to go to court to try to see if he could find another year. And Rick Barnes was like, no, you're moving on.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, when is Diego Pavia going to have the chance to make $1 million again? I mean, it might be worth another shot.
It's a good point.
So I from that, and that's why I say, don't make this about the love of college football or the love of Vanderbilt. This is a financial move.
Yeah.
All right. This is a financial move. It's life-changing money for Diego Pavia and his family.
For sure.
I mean, it's not an NFL contract of $100 million. Look, if I got $1 million for 1 year, would that change me and my family's life? Absolutely.
Yes, I think it would change anybody's
Absolutely.
life.
I don't make that much money. I know people think that I'm on TV. No, I don't. I'm like you. I'm a working class guy.
Right.
That's it.
Like $1 million, you can't retire tomorrow, but it does change your life significantly.
Yeah.
And Diego's making more than that this year. So, we're getting Vols fans on the text line saying Vandy going to the playoffs is not happening, but we all have dreams. Tennessee fans, are you watching Vanderbilt? Because I got to say, Vanderbilt's look a whole lot more impressive.
Well, Jake, just let me ask, do you think Vanderbilt will make the playoff?
No.
Okay.
I would say no.
I would agree. My first instinct is no.
But to say that it's a dream, like it is realistic that they could go to the playoffs this year.
They went on the road and whitewashed 2 teams.
Yes.
Whitewashed them. All right. And you say, well, they weren't that good. They weren't that. Well, maybe they weren't, but maybe they made them look even worse.
Yeah. And that's the issue I have is that people are saying, well, maybe South Carolina wasn't that good. I'm like, South Carolina was being anointed as this up and coming media darling all offseason. And then Vandy curb stomps them. And all of a sudden they're not that good.
If Tennessee won this game 38-7 or whatever the final was,
right,
they'd be beating their chest that they curb stomped them and that they are headed to the playoff. And you know what? Rightfully so. That is a good win for every team in the Southeastern Conference to go there and win by that much against this team.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and look, Tennessee's got plenty of reasons to be happy. If they could just kick the football, they'd be 3-0. All right.
For sure.
But they can't kick the football, so they're not. They've got a loss, and it's going to make the Vanderbilt game a must-win for them.
Yeah. I mean, they do have Alabama and Oklahoma still on the schedule too. And again, like if you ask me right now, who has a better chance to make the playoffs? It's Tennessee, and the odds makers would back that up. But to act like Vandy doesn't have a shot, is crazy.
Because all we're saying is this: they're going to be 5-0.
Yeah.
All right, and then they go to Alabama, and then it's what if they beat them last year? They're better than they were last year. Do you disagree?
Yeah,
they're better.
No. They are better in almost every spot than they were last year.
And so I'm not writing off. And what happens if they win?
Right.
And they're 6-0. Are you going to sit there and say, well, I mean, they're probably knocking on the door of the top 10 at that point.
Yeah. If they beat Alabama, you probably have a top 10 matchup between Vanderbilt and LSU in Nashville.
You have game day
in mid-October. Yes. So I'm not telling Vanderbilt fans or Tennessee fans that Vandy is going to beat them and go to the playoff, but to act like it's not a possibility is a little crazy based on what we've seen so far. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll keep talking about this because I saw some argument yesterday on Twitter about who is a better Heisman candidate right now, Diego Pavia or Joey Aguilar. The odds say one thing, but I've seen some graphics from some college football aggregators that say another thing. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman. Cory Curtis from News 2. Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, you can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're having the conversation about Tennessee and Vanderbilt. And both teams with big games this past Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee was a field goal away from upsetting Georgia, beating them for the first time since 2016. Should have won that game.
I don't want to hear Josh Heupel this, Josh Heupel that. Make the kick.
That's
kick. Your job.
And also, like, the 4th and 6, London Humphreys catches that touchdown. That game could have been over there too. Tennessee should have won the game. They didn't. Vanderbilt blows out South Carolina 31-7. And so I saw some conversation yesterday about the current Heisman race. And it's way too early to be talking about who could win the Heisman because there's still 10 games left to be played for a lot of these teams, 9-10 games.
Yep.
But it was funny because you see the Heisman odds. Yep. And Joey Aguilar, I believe I saw, was like plus 1,400 to win the Heisman. He's off to a great start this year. And statistically, you look at the counting stats, Aguilar has been better than Pavia, passing yardage, passing touchdowns. But On 3 put out a graphic of their top 10 Heisman candidates and had Pavia number 5. Aguilar was not on there at all. My question is, who has a better chance of being in the Heisman conversation? And I think Aguilar, because of the players around him and that offense, if Tennessee does what they're supposed to do, he could be in that conversation. But as we just discussed, if Pavia is able to get Vanderbilt and keep them in this playoff conversation into November and towards that Tennessee game, I think it'd be hard not to send him to New York if he can get Vanderbilt to 8 or 9 wins at the end of the year.
Well, listen, I'm a voter. I've been a voter for a long time, and there's probably more that goes into it than you think. I mean, because it's about who's the best player. All right, and it usually falls on the quarterback, and it usually falls on a quarterback who wins a lot. That winning is the big quarterback stat usually. Now, last year you had a freak of nature.
Yep.
All right, and he was able to overcome Colorado. What did Colorado win? 7-8 games last year?
7.
Yeah. But he was such a freak of nature and did things no one had done before. He was able to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
And once in a while, you run into that. But then you also run into, where do you play? I mean, look, Travis Hunter at Colorado may not win the Heisman if Deion's not there to put the spotlight on him every single week. That's reality. That is just reality. And so John Mateer at Oklahoma, because it's Oklahoma, gets a stronger look. He's got 5 touchdowns and 3 picks.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, are those Heisman numbers?
I mean, he's got the big win over Michigan right now, which, Michigan
might be like the 4th or 5th best team in the Big Ten.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did it in prime time and got that win, which kind of got some shine.
And Carson Beck beat Notre Dame in prime time.
Yep.
And so, he deserves some credit. They also beat South Florida soundly.
Yep.
Carson Beck, I'm not a fan, is playing really good football.
He is the favorite right now.
And he's playing really good football. And so, when you're looking at Pavia and Aguilar, both are starting from off the page, which is tough to do.
Yeah.
Especially Aguilar. Nobody knew who he was. All right. And, so Tennessee, he is putting up numbers. He is way better than anyone could have imagined. And he has to keep producing, but Tennessee has to keep winning.
Yep.
I mean, he could throw for 7,000 yards. If Tennessee goes 8-4, he's not going to win. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Just that simple. Now, Pavia is kind of like Deion Sanders. He's that personality.
Yep.
And he draws the spotlight to himself. And, when he beats Alabama, everybody sees it. And he gets all the credit. All right. That's the way it is.
Right. No, it's very true.
Okay. And so if they continue down that train, all right, he's going to get more credit than Aguilar is. All right. Now, if Tennessee goes 11-1, Aguilar's going to get his flowers. Don't get me wrong here. But the expectations of the two is different because one's at Vanderbilt, one's at Tennessee.
Yep.
And they both still got to overcome guys at other blue blood programs who are going to win a lot.
Right.
The good news for all these guys is the guys who are supposed to win the Heisman aren't. All right.
Yeah.
Drew Aller, Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier,
Lenore Sellers.
None of those guys are in the conversation right now. And you can still get back into it, but this thing's wide open.
It is. I don't know if we've seen a Heisman race this wide open in a long time, where it's just like there are 15 or 20 guys who have a chance to make a run at it here down the stretch.
Pull up Miami's schedule the rest of the way. I'm going to guess that Carson Beck has played his toughest games.
Yeah, they played Florida this week, and that's game days there, so that's a chance for him to.
Yeah, so this might be like if he can put up big numbers this week, and frankly he should, he can really, I think, grab a hold of it.
So their next 3 games are likely their toughest for the rest of the year. They play Florida at home, Florida State in Tallahassee, and then Louisville at home.
Okay.
I'd say those are probably their 3 toughest games, because after that it's Stanford. SMU, I guess, could be tough, but it's not like Florida State. Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no. So if he's going to win the Heisman, he's got to do it in the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, because he's going to be expected to put up big numbers in those other games. So he's got to have his star just shining and just say boom. And if they make the playoffs at 13 or 12-0, he's in good shape.
Yeah,
he's in good shape.
No, that is true. I think if Aguilar and Tennessee and they get into the playoff conversation, they got a chance. But likely it is going to be one of those teams at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And Carson Beck has put them in. They're ranked 4th in the country right now. So
and it has largely been Carson Beck, but we also need to say they are better on the offensive and defensive lines.
Yes, 100%.
They are ready to rumble like they have not been ready to rumble in the last few years.
Yep.
And that's a big difference with that football team. And Beck is playing well. But can Pavia and Aguilar be in the conversation? Yeah. But they're going to need some help.
Yeah. 100%. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. John on our YouTube chat says Colorado won 9 games last year, not 7. Okay. I guess that
was that with the bowl win, or did they lose?
No, they lost to BYU.
Okay.
For some reason I don't remember them winning 9 games, but I guess we were wrong.
Yeah.
Parker, do you remember?
Yeah, they went 9-3.
They went 9-3.
Lost to BYU in the Alamo Bowl.
Okay.
You're right. They did. They did win on. They went on that run. Apologies there. Yeah.
But it's still. That's not a record. Did they have any marquee wins?
Let's see. No ranked wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
no.
The answer is
no ranked wins for Colorado last week. But yes, apologies. 9 wins, not 7 wins for the Buffaloes. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. 615-737-1025 phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I wanted to get into this next topic with Cory because we had a conversation about Tom Brady and his involvement
with the Raiders.
The Raiders and in production meetings, and that all came to a head on Monday night. So we will talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game.
We've got a special member of the Raiders ownership group here today, and that's Tom Brady, who is in the house and is with the coach's box tonight. I was wondering how much Brady really had an involvement with this team. We hear so much about Brady as the owner. Chip Kelly told us that he talks to Brady 2 to 3 times a week. They go through film, they go through the game plan, and Brady is a luxury for the coaches. Who else has an owner who's actually been there and done that?
5% stake.
That's an amazing sight right there.
That Chip Kelly uses them as a resource every single week.
Yep, why wouldn't you?
They think it's a Hampton. Herbert launches downfield. Back shoulder throw. Trying to get it to Quentin Johnston. Really had a breakout game against the Chiefs. Luke Kelly broke it up. There's Brady, top row. Not many games he's able to attend because of his Sunday duties on Fox.
Think about the advantage. Chip Kelly saying 2 to 3 times a week, I could call Tom Brady, hey, what do I do in double A gap pressure versus this defensive corner? Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator of the Raiders, talked about in the first preseason game, they struggled to tackle. Brady sent him a text, figure it out fast. So it seems he's very involved.
That was from the Monday Night Football broadcast. Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, Peter Schrager talking about Tom Brady's involvement as a minority owner of the Raiders, despite his job at Fox Sports, where he broadcasts games and is involved in production meetings every single week. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. We mentioned this on the show yesterday, but Cory, you and I had the conversation when the news broke a few weeks ago that they were going to let Tom Brady do his duties as a broadcaster and be involved in production meetings. This was before we found out basically that, the Raiders are using him as an additional coach and going through the game plan with him and asking for advice. The conflict of interest feels too great for the NFL not to do something and remove him from any of these meetings as part of his job with Fox.
Look, if you're saying it's a production meeting between him and the producers, and his play-by-play man, and what they're going to do in the broadcast, that's fine. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about access to the facility,
right?
Access to players, access to the coach,
watching practice,
access to practice. How much of that is allowed? I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I don't know, but it should be zero. It should absolutely be zero. It's a huge conflict of interest. Huge. Look, if Tom Brady wants to be a silent owner and be hands-off and just make it a financial investment, that is one thing that I can live with, but he's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's going to be a part of the process, okay? He's a guy who's driven to win. So when he owns something, he's going to want it to succeed, and if he's got an opinion, he's going to give it. And he can't have that same access and be wearing a headset during the game with access to the coaches. It's a bad look for the NFL. It really, really is. I know the NFL probably doesn't care because Tom Brady is royalty, but I'll go ahead and say it. The NFL will be just fine if Tom Brady isn't on the broadcast.
Agreed.
Okay. And whether it's Greg Olson or the ghost of John Madden or Jordan Rodgers doing the color, that's not going to drive viewership. People don't. This is a whole nother conversation. All right. Does anybody, and I've called games and I love calling games. You call games. You love calling games. But does anybody say, damn it, I am not watching this game because Tom Brady's not on the color? All right. I can't do Charles Davis this week. I'm not watching the Titans game. No. Now, those guys can make games better and they can make games worse, for sure. But they don't drive viewership. They just don't. Now, like I said, John Madden became his own brand. And, he was part of what you looked forward to. But you still watch Monday Night Football even though John Madden's gone.
Yes.
All right? So if Tom Brady's not in the booth, we'll still watch the game.
Yeah. You like having a good broadcast team. And it does help the experience.
And he's not
of
even great right now.
Right. But, did anybody out there in all of America watch, outside of maybe Tom Brady's mom, watch the Eagles and the Chiefs on Sunday because Tom Brady was in the booth? No, you watched
I didn't even know he was in the booth.
You watched it because it was a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs.
So this idea that, well, it's Tom Brady, so we gotta do this because it's Tom Brady. I mean, but I love Tom Brady. Don't get me wrong. Tom Brady's awesome.
Right.
I mean, Mount Rushmore.
And I like to hear what Tom Brady has to think on things.
But there's right and there's wrong. And this is wrong.
And the NFL has every sport lately, because of all the gambling and how much more readily available sports betting is, the integrity of the game is paramount for all of these leagues. That is all they're talking about, is keeping the integrity of the game. This is a violation of the integrity of the game. Whether Tom Brady is actually telling people inside stuff he finds out in this, whether these teams are telling Tom Brady anything.
And also, maybe it's something, it doesn't happen this week, but it's something he's got in his pocket for 7 weeks from now.
Right.
I heard this. I saw this.
Well, he called the Commanders game last week, and the Raiders play Washington this weekend. It's like, even subliminally, he might have some things that he picked up that he's going to pass along. And the Raiders came out and they tried to deny it. They said, it's an exaggeration that Chip Kelly talks to Tom Brady 1 to 2 times a week. But Schrager said it, Fowler said it, Orlovsky said it. Clearly, in their production meeting, Chip Kelly said they use Tom Brady as a resource.
Yes, he at that point, he is a part of the coaching staff.
Yes. I mean, he's sitting in the coach's booth with a headset on.
Yeah, he is a part of the coaching staff. To say anything else is a lie. It's a fabrication.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Imagine if so the Titans play the Cardinals in 2 weeks.
And Mike McCoy's in the booth.
What? Yeah. Mike McCoy or Bo Hardigree gets to go.
I mean, Mike McCoy's an advisor, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Mike McCoy's a good example.
So that's what we call Tom Brady. Tom Brady's an
offensive advisor.
He's an advisor.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He's an advisor. Mike McCoy is an advisor. They would not let Mike McCoy anywhere near any of that stuff.
If Mike McCoy goes knocking on the Cardinals' door and says, "Hey, I want to just watch your practice and talk to some coaches," that's not going to fly.
Maybe I sit down with a couple players.
Right.
Show me the playbook. What's your favorite play?
What plays do you like to run on 3rd and medium?
Who are you looking for in this situation?
I don't get why. And it was funny to see the backlash come out on Twitter on Monday night of pretty much everybody who covers the NFL being like, why is this being allowed to happen?
Yeah.
Like, why is Tom Brady allowed to go sit in a booth in Kansas City, a division rival, on Sunday?
The NFL doesn't need it.
No.
That's what you don't need this. Yeah, I mean, you are a monster before Tom Brady got in the booth.
You're asking for controversy that doesn't need to be there.
No.
And Tom Brady being in the booth is fine. Just don't let him in the production stuff. Like, don't let him go talk to coaches and players.
Yeah, make it clear. Tom Brady is our game day guy.
Yes,
and that's it.
He's going to show up on Sundays and he's going to call the game. And
we will pass him notes and
right,
everything. But he can't be a part of these meetings. I think the NFL could score points if they said, "Hey, we're not allowing him inside 100%. Other teams' buildings." All right, that is not appropriate. We still want to know what his opinions are and his analysis of games is.
Yeah,
but we can't give him that. All right. We still think he adds value to the broadcast, but we can't give him inside access.
Yeah. And like Tom Brady has access to all 22 and stuff like that everybody else gets.
Yeah.
And
you could buy all 22.
I'm sure that Tom Brady can draw tons of conclusions just off watching the film because he is Tom Brady.
That's his
job.
Will
still add value to the broadcast. Mm-hmm. Do not let him get any inside information.
You know, what's interesting is Kerry Collins, former Titans quarterback. Yeah. We had a situation where I needed a color guy because Eddie couldn't make it or something. I can't remember what it was. And so I asked Kerry if he would do it. And he was like, yeah. And, he came in and, he was a part of the meetings and stuff, but he'd never done it before. So he just kind of listened and took it all in.
Right.
When we got in the booth, I mean, it was like a savant. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Like, we started the broadcast. He'd never done this before. And he's, after each play, is telling me what every guy on the field is doing. He's like, well, the right guard does this and the left tackle does this. And I'm like, and I literally, we went to a break and I said, how do you see all of that?
Live, yeah.
And he's just like, you do it and you watch enough film and it's just there. And I'm like that. And that's how smart these guys are.
Yeah.
That's how much. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Tom Brady will be just fine.
He can still add value to the broadcast, despite not getting the inside information.
Absolutely. By the way, Kerry Collins, I think, is the offensive coordinator at Summit High School now, or
wow.
coaching over there. But Cory was a great guy, a good quarterback, and just knew a ton of football.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have any thoughts, comments on Tom Brady being in the coach's booth for the Raiders on Monday and then going and calling games on Sunday, getting practice, getting interviews with coaches and players.
Now, we don't know how much of that
right.
he's
We
getting.
don't know all of the access, but what they came out with is that he is going to get more access this year than he did last year. So,
okay, that's absurd.
Right.
That's absurd that you're giving him more.
So,
if anything, you should have given him less.
Yes. And I'll do a little more research during the break here and see if we can find any more information on how much Brady is involved in these production meetings, but feels like a huge conflict of interest. 615.
No, it doesn't feel like it, Jake.
It is.
Okay, thank you. Don't couch this.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Finishing up hour number 2, next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly, here on this Wednesday, having the conversation about the report on Monday night of how involved Tom Brady is in the Raiders game planning from week to week, talking with Chip Kelly, sitting in the coach's booth on Monday night, and going through the lifted rules, the eased restrictions on Tom Brady as an analyst for Fox Sports. So I did find the actual rules that they changed.
Okay.
So last year he was not allowed in any production meetings, was not allowed at practice.
Awesome.
The good news is he is not allowed at practice still. So
okay.
we were talking about practice. I think that's obviously important, but they did ease the restrictions, allowing him to participate in team and coaching production meetings this season. Last year it was a lot of the ownership said that of other teams said they didn't want him in those meetings. I guess they've lifted those restrictions and he is allowed to be in those meetings this year.
Well, and the other thing is a lot of those meetings happen inside your building.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had those meetings in the coach's office. I've had those meetings in the cafeteria. I've had those meetings all over the place.
Yeah, there's a chance it could be virtual over Zoom if they're doing it during the week, and maybe the team doesn't get in, like the broadcast team doesn't get in until Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, the other thing that's different for them is this. So when we have our production meeting with the Titans Network, we just get Brian Callahan.
Yeah.
Or Mike Vrabel in the past or whatever. He's got 2 different teams.
Yes.
And so he's got a production meetings with 2 different coaching staffs.
And you're going to get the head coach. You'll get both coordinators.
Does he get both coordinators?
I would assume most NFL broadcasts that
I don't know how much they get. I don't.
I guess they get head coach, both coordinators, and the quarterback.
I should ask Charles Davis.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to do that. Maybe we'll get an answer in the next hour. I will ask him how much access he gets in the product. Like, who do they get access to in production meetings for each NFL broadcast?
No, it would be very enlightening information to know what exactly they're getting.
Text is going out now.
Yeah, there you go. And see what exactly could Tom Brady be learning. But I think this is going to make their broadcast worse because it's like they're not going to tell them anything. And good on coaching staffs if they don't tell them anything, because why would Andy Reid, who's going to play the Raiders twice this year, want to tell a guy who's that involved anything to do with his game planning heading into a game?
And would you want your coordinator talking to him while you're not there?
No,
or your quarterback talking to them while you're not there?
So it was funny to see that whole segment of the broadcast where they're just, talking about how involved he is and Chip Kelly relies on him and like, what is
He's a member of the coaching staff.
It's like they asked the question, like, what would be the best way to attack this defensive coordinator? It's like Tom Brady could talk to that defensive coordinator during his broadcast schedule. So I would hope the NFL comes out and just says, you know what, we're going to go back to the Brady rules of last year where he's not allowed in any of these meetings. And, if Kevin Burkhardt and the sideline reporter and the producer and the director want to relay him some important information that might help, then that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But he shouldn't be allowed to be in these meetings.
Nope. There's nothing you can say that will convince me of it. You can say, I'm an old man, get off my lawn. That's fine. I will embrace that. We've both been a part of this stuff. Different venues, but for both of us who've both been a part of it to say this is not appropriate.
No,
I think we have some perspective on it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, I haven't been part of an NFL production meeting, of course, but I've been part of plenty of college ones where you get to talk to the coach. Yep. And a lot of times you'll ask the questions, they'll give you the answers. And at the end, they'll maybe say, hey, keep this off the record for now, but Smith isn't going to play this weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously Tom Brady isn't going to be able to help the Raiders with that, but like
I've had Mike Malarkey tell me what the first play of the game is going to be.
Yeah.
It's
like that. And I would really hope that coaches wouldn't be stupid enough to tell Tom Brady that.
They're not.
Like,
but I'm saying that's the type of stuff that happens.
It's like this stuff does happen. Like I called a soccer broadcast this weekend. I've had soccer coaches tell me like the formation that they're going to run in the soccer broadcast is a big deal. Yeah. And like they don't want that getting out early,
especially if it's different from what they normally run.
Right. And so sometimes they'll be hesitant. Like the producer will ask because they want to make a graphic of like, here's the starting lineup and the formation they're in. And they'll be hesitant, like, please don't tell anybody this. Like, this is like secretive information. a lot of stuff gets told in those meetings.
Look, there are a lot of production meetings where I just want to go to my phone and Twitter and just go, this is happening, blah, 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 blah. But I can't.
Right.
I can't.
It's part of the job.
Yes, it's part of the job. So I'm like, people ask me what's going to happen. I'm like,
I don't know.
I know, but I can't tell you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's part of the job, and you get to see a bunch of stuff. Like when I travel with Vandy women's basketball, like sometimes I'll see a player maybe has like a boot on or something.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm not saying anything.
You can't. You're
right,
privileged to be where you are.
It's privileged information,
Yes.
and it's like it's a relationship with the staff that you're working with, and it's like I'm not going to say anything that they don't want me to say.
Well, they can just as easily say you no longer have this access.
Right, exactly. And it's a privilege. I would think Tom Brady is a professional, and he's not going to take advantage of any privileged information.
But you talk about what the integrity of the game,
right,
and the optics are just bad.
Yep.
They're just bad.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to be an owner, if you want to be a coach, go do that.
Right. He at some point, I think he's going to have to make a decision of what he wants to do.
I don't think so. I mean, if they're not making it this now,
yeah, maybe the NFL has to force his hand.
I mean, maybe he'll be calling plays on Sunday for the Raiders next week and then doing the game on Monday night.
Yeah, calling the plays virtually from wherever he's calling the game. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll get back into the Titans coming up next. The defense was good against Denver, left something to be desired, especially late in the game against the Rams. We'll talk about the good and the bad for Denard Wilson's unit on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Back into the Titans for this final hour.
Let's go.
I wanted to start with the defense. The offense has left a lot to be desired, and we've kind of hit everything there. But the defense, there's been some good, there's been some bad. And I want to look at the good first. I think the secondary has been better than I expected it to be. And I get down the stretch, it started to fall apart. I think you saw that L'Jarius Sneed wasn't quite in midseason form yet, to be expected after missing most of training camp. But early in that game, L'Jarius Sneed showed a lot of flashes of what we hoped he would be when they made that trade. He made a couple of plays in the red zone that were crucial in holding the Rams to 3 instead of 7. You're also going to get Kevin Winston back from injury, hopefully soon. I feel like that group has been better than we expected and could continue to improve throughout the season.
They have created a few turnovers, which is good. And when you talk about Sneed, I think one of the things that's important to point out is that Sean McVay is really smart. Okay. What does he know about L'Jarius Sneed? Hasn't practiced a lot.
Yep.
Hasn't
wear
played
him
a lot.
out.
How many targets did Devontae Adams get Sunday?
A lot.
13. Over 1/3 of the passes they threw were at L'Jarius Sneed, and that was intentional. Okay. Because they knew in the fourth quarter they were going to wear him out. When did he get exposed?
Late in the game.
In the fourth quarter. Because it was 16-13 pretty much going into the fourth quarter.
Right.
And so, at that point, they got the ball and they went right down the field. And that's when they started to get that separation and started to make those plays. And they just, the plan absolutely worked. Now, the fact that Sneed was able to finish the game and play, that's all positive.
Yeah, 92% of snaps for L'Jarius Sneed after only playing 19 the week before. Like that's improvement.
Jarvis Brownlee, I do not believe had a penalty this week.
Not that I can recall.
Okay. Now he also didn't have a ton of balls thrown at him.
Yeah.
A lot of Nakua's stuff was over the middle.
Right. Nakua's stuff was more, it felt like it was more scheming him open a lot of the time than it was like one-on-one go beat Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Yeah. I mean, Sean McVay does such a good job.
Yeah.
And look, Nakua's better than Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Oh, 100%.
But, Roger McCreary has played well.
Yeah, he made that nice play, kind of peeling off. He was in the flats, peels off and deflected it, forced a punt.
We've seen some misses in the run game from the safeties, and that can't happen.
First touchdown.
Yeah, it can't happen.
Yep,
can't happen. That's got that's got to be better.
On 4th and 1, when you get free and untouched into the backfield and have a chance to stop that, you have to make the tackle.
You have to make the play.
And then
that's your job.
Amani Hooker took a horrible route from the other side of the field to try and stop him, and you end up giving up a touchdown. So obviously it hasn't been perfect.
Nope.
But I do think that there's been flashes from that group that make you think it could be better. And again, you got Quandre Diggs, who we saw less of on Sunday.
A lot less.
They didn't play the 3 safety.
Now he was
as
hurt
much.
all last week
Right.
as well.
Yes.
So maybe that had something to do
Was he
with
inactive on Sunday?
No, he played.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he did play.
But it was not a lot.
Right. He wasn't out there nearly as much. Kevin Winston did practice in limited fashion last week. Maybe we see him out there for the first time this week. Again, I'm not expecting Kevin Winston to come in and automatically be an X factor, but I do think that you can see the secondary that they've built. It could end up being an above average unit. And that a lot of it does depend on L'Jarius Sneed. And can he not only show flashes, but start to become a consistent guy who you can rely on to cover the top receiver for the other team?
All right, I'm going to bring up a guy that is a divisive player in Titans history, and that's former first-round safety Michael Griffin.
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of people who like Michael Griffin's terrible. Michael Griffin's a bum, blah, 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 blah. Michael Griffin was a good football player.
He was.
And when he had good teammates, his numbers bared it out. All right. When he had Albert Hainsworth and Kyle Vanden Bosch and those guys rushing the passer, guess what? He intercepted passes. He made plays. Let's take a look here. Michael Griffin interceptions in 2008. I believe the Titans were pretty good that year.
13-3. You'll take it.
7 interceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 interceptions. And then, 2012, he had 4. In 2010, he had 4. They started to dry up, but the Titans started to dry up. And so a lot of those guys in the back half rely on the guys on the front half to be good. All right. It's really tough to keep playing that position for 4 seconds, for 5 seconds, for 6 seconds, for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
You got to get to the quarterback at some point. If you give Matthew Stafford time, he will pick you apart.
Yep.
In case you didn't see the game on Sunday. Okay.
That throw to Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
I mean,
and the catch.
I saw a tweet of like, you can't even, I think it was the NFL tweeted out, like, you can't give Matthew Stafford even the smallest window. I'm like, there is no window.
Well, but that's a good showing of what's the difference between the Titans and the Rams. He makes that throw, which is ridiculous, and Devontae Adams makes a really tough catch.
Right, to keep that off the ground was really impressive.
And the week before, Cam Ward makes a ridiculous throw over the middle, and it bounces off the fingertips of Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
That's the difference between the two teams right there. All right. One makes the play, one doesn't make the play. All right. But so the guys in the back half, I'm fine with. All right. I'm fine with, but they're going to struggle if they can't get a pass rush. All right. And I don't see a pass rush coming. I know Denard Wilson talked about it yesterday. I think we're going to see more blitzing this week. So those guys better be ready to cover man to man, and they better be good at it, because I think they understand they're not going to get much. And even when they blitzed last week, guys didn't get home.
Yep. And we're going to talk about the pass rush coming up next. The good has been the secondary for the most part. I mean, I understand you gave up Devontae Adams had a 100-yard game, but like overall, I think a lot of those guys have shown that they can play. The edge rush group has not been in that same category. We'll talk about it coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, we'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Talking Titans defense, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday. Getting ready for Titans and Colts coming up on Sunday from Nissan Stadium. Titans looking for their first win of the season. We're focusing in on the Titans defense. There's been some good, been a lot of bad, especially late in the game on Sunday against the Rams. We were just having the conversation about L'Jarius Sneed, and I thought he played a pretty good game on Sunday. The numbers may not back that up, but he was an impact player early on. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Bruce is on the line wanting to talk about L'Jarius Sneed. Bruce, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, man, I'm not even going to lie to you, man. How he's playing this Sunday, I'm a big fan because he shut down Devontae for a minute. And you know what? I really believe if he keeps on playing like this and that defense can get to Daniel Jones, I think the Titans will get that first win. What you think about it?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Bruce. I mean, I think you should see a better L'Jarius Sneed on Sunday in terms of being able to compete at a high level for longer. But it is the pass rush that needs to get to Daniel Jones. We saw on Sunday they couldn't get there with 4. I mean, I did not notice a single one of the edge rushers at all during the game. Like, there wasn't a time where Arden Key got close to Matthew Stafford or Draymond Jones or Femi Oladejo. Nobody was breathing on Matthew Stafford. So they tried to start blitzing and sending the safeties and sending the linebackers, and Matthew Stafford just picked him apart. And Daniel Jones is not Matthew Stafford, but you have to find a way to impact him on Sunday, like you did with Bo Nix 2 weeks ago. You got him off his platform. You made him make some bad decisions, and you had a chance to go win the game.
He's probably another quarterback you want to keep in the pocket. Like
right,
Bo
yeah.
Nix as
Daniel
well.
Jones, he gets out of the pocket. He's an athlete.
Yes. I mean, he ran for a lot of yards. You know, going back to Sunday, Devontae Adams, 6 catches, 106 yards on 13 targets. So he did catch fewer than 50% of his targets, to back what Bruce said there. Puka Nacua, though, was 8 for 9 for 91. And that's almost 100%.
Yes.
So, you know, and that's the beauty of the Rams. You take your pick, you take your pick. And the Titans put Sneed on Adams, and they tried. And for, like you're saying, for a long time, he battled. But in the end, he got him. And with Nacua, he was they just couldn't stop him.
Yep.
So, the Colts have Pittman and Downs and Alec Pierce. Always,
Pierce is just your deep ball threat.
He's the guy who just always seems to come up with play against the Titans only.
Yes, and he burnt L'Jarius Sneed a couple of times before he left that game. Or actually, he did finish the game against the Colts back in week 5. But
that was his last one.
Yes, that was his last one. Alec Pierce got L'Jarius Sneed a couple times. I would say maybe you try and avoid that matchup just because Sneed is not known as a burner. Like, he's not a guy who's going to be able to keep up. But when you have a physical receiver, maybe more like Michael Pittman, that could be a better matchup.
This is a game you would love to see Kevin Winston be healthy for, so that he could match up with Tyler Warren. Number one, he knows him.
Yeah.
They're same team, and he knows all about him. But he's a big, long, athletic guy to match up with that tight end. And in the past, under Mike Vrabel, the Titans matched up really well with tight ends. They gave Travis Kelce fits.
Dane Cruikshank,
but even David Long,
yep,
was because he was a good coverage linebacker. So does it fall on Cody Barton? Does it fall on Amani Hooker? That remains to be seen, because he's the guy I'm really worried about. As I like Sneed on Pittman to not allow Pittman to have a huge day.
Yeah.
But you do have to get a pass rush in. I really think you're gonna have to deal with Tyler Warren. I think he can be an X factor, and he could be a huge problem.
Yep, for sure. And the Titans, the pass rush has not been good. 2 sacks through 2 games.
One of them was Amani Hooker on a blitz.
Right, and Stafford almost escaped that, by the way.
And then who got your other one? Jeffrey Simmons.
Right, the strip sack. Yeah.
And it was a strip sack.
Yep.
That's the value of hitting the quarterback.
Yep.
That's and also Simmons got pressure and caused another pick. All
yeah.
Right? So
right.
You gotta have it. You gotta have it.
And part of that, we were talking during the break, is you need T'Vondre Sweat back on the field.
Yeah, you do.
And this is an important injury report that we're going to get today with Latham and Sweat. Can they be out there on Sunday? I feel more optimistic about Sweat being out there.
Yeah, I do too.
But we will see. Titans practice coming up this afternoon. I believe Brian Callahan going to speak close to the top of the hour. So you might get some of that with Chase and Big Joe when they take over. Here's a good point from Wes from Hermitage. And I think it's a little bit revisionist history. A lot of us didn't want Harold Landry to come back. Like, I think it was kind of.
Oh, I heard a lot of people telling me Harold Landry wasn't as good as his numbers, and,
Yes.
and he was an aberration, and he needed to go, and he wasn't worth the money. I never understood that.
Yeah.
I mean, 9-10 sacks is 9-10 sacks. The Titans haven't absolutely had tons of those in the last 10 years. I did not understand the need to show him the door.
Yeah.
But there was a huge segment of this fan base
A lot of people thought it was fine to let Harold Landry walk. I honestly didn't think he was good. I didn't think Landry was going to go to New England and have a huge impact, but Harold Landry has the same amount of pressures and more sacks than the entire Titans defense did.
Yeah. Now they've also played
the Dolphins and the Raiders. Yes.
Yeah, they played two bad teams. That's not everything, but it's part of it. And I know the concern was, well, Harold got his sacks. He didn't win a lot. He finished really well.
Yes.
So when he won, he got the sack.
He was great on cleanup duty a lot of the times for his sacks. Of like Simmons would pressure a guy out of the pocket and Landry would be waiting right there to wrap him up.
I felt like I saw Harold win quickly and sack people at times. I think I was watching a different guy than everybody else. And also Harold never came out of the game.
No, he was reliable.
I didn't. And look, if you wanted to say he's older and you got to move on, fine. I can buy that argument. But I know the analytics nerds, and that's fine if the analytics are your thing, because it's absolutely a part of it. But at some point, you need guys who make plays on the football field. And when the sack is a play, all right, it's a game-changing play. They don't have other guys who make that play.
And there's been a whole lot of conversation about whether the Titans should add to that group at edge.
Add what?
Well, there were players like Preston Smith just signed today.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to play for this team.
No, and I understand. It's like there has to be.
Who did he sign with?
I believe Washington.
Okay.
Is that he went back to Washington?
What's Washington expected to do?
Go to the playoffs.
Okay.
Preston Smith signed.
Where did Zadarius Smith sign?
Yes, he did go to the Commanders. Zadarius Smith went to the Eagles.
Oh,
and
okay.
Jadeveon Clowney to the Cowboys.
Well, he doesn't care.
Well, yeah, Jadeveon was not coming back here. That one was easy to sell.
And he's done.
Ron says, name a player other than Simmons who scares you on this team going into Indy.
No, that's a great question. Right. It's a great question.
Especially on defense. Like on defense, you look at this team and it's Jeffrey Simmons and a lot of question marks.
Like Amani Hooker's a good player. L'Jarius Sneed's been a good player.
Yeah.
All right. Roger McCurry's
Cody
player.
Barton's been a good player. I mean, that interception that he had on Sunday was really nice.
But he doesn't scare you.
No, you're not.
He's talking about name me a difference maker.
Right.
All right. Because I was telling you on the Colts, I'm like, you got Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
He's a problem. All right. Michael Pittman can be a problem. Tyler Warren can be a problem. Quentin Nelson is one of the elite linemen in the game.
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner is an elite defensive lineman. I mean, they've got guys where you go, okay, we got to deal with this. We got to deal with this. We got to deal with this. And with the Titans, you pretty much like
you circle 98.
98 said, if we could take this guy out, we're probably going to have our way.
Yeah. And that's why having Sweat out there is important, because it makes it so much harder to double team Jeffrey Simmons with Devondre Sweat on the field. And on the other side of the ball, like you look at the Titans offense, and again, it's similar to what you're saying on defense. Like Tony Pollard's a good player.
Yeah. But he's not as good as Jonathan Taylor.
Calvin Ridley's a good player.
Yeah.
And I think you like what you've seen from the rookies with Ward and Iamaner, but none of those guys.
That's not to disparage that.
It's like the Hard Knocks episode for the Dolphins a couple of years ago, when they're getting ready for the Titans game, and they're talking about their first game plan meeting, and they immediately say, we have to stop 22. Like, we have to stop Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You don't have a guy like that.
No.
And
no,
it's that's what needs to change for this team, whether that becomes Cam Ward or whether that becomes Alec Iamaner or somebody
we used to be able to circle the Titans offensive line.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we're going to get behind this group and see what they do.
Yeah.
Because that group could get it done.
Right.
And not even you don't even have that now.
I think you really like what you've seen from Peter Skoronski. Like I do
Yeah,
want to
but he's
give
one
Peter
of
Skoronski
5.
his flowers because he has been really good through 2 weeks.
Absolutely, and I expected him to be good this year.
Yes.
But they need the other guys to be good too.
And
I mean, Cushenberry did not have a good day last week.
No. And you would think that that's just him working his way back from the injury. And it is only week 2. But it has to happen at some point.
I'm going to say something that's rude. I don't care. He's out there.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's a veteran. He's a year removed. He's practiced. He's been on the field. He's big and he's strong. And I know it takes time to get back. I don't care. Produce, perform, work as a unit. Work as a unit. Because there's too many times where you just see the thing just getting blown up and guys just losing horribly.
Yeah.
You don't lose horribly.
And this week is going to be the opportunity to prove that offensive line can improve.
Yeah.
Like they've played 2 really good pass rush units through 2 weeks. That has to be said. This week, the Colts, they've got some players. Like you mentioned, DeForest Buckner, still a really good player in this league. Kwity Paye is a good player. Earlier, we had James Boyd mention Leatu Latu, who's been hurt. But if he's back out there, that's a good player. But this isn't Nick Bonito.
Nope.
It's not Jared Verse and Byron Young.
And Braden Fisk.
Like, this is a defensive line that if you are the players that you were brought in to be, you should not give up 5+ sacks.
You've got to give them a chance.
Like,
you've got to look. Yeah. I mean, if they give up 1 or 2 sacks, that's
going to happen.
That's life in the NFL, and that's going to happen. But does Cam Ward? Because we haven't talked about this. You talked about it off the air.
Yeah,
how few passes they've thrown down the field.
Right.
All right. Well, there's a reason. Okay, because he doesn't have time to set up back there and do it.
If you can't block and your receivers can't get open.
No. And I mean, running a 35-yard route takes time. These guys are fast. They're not that fast. Okay. And so if I were Brian Callahan, I wouldn't be calling those plays either.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't trust my guys to block all those guys at this point. They haven't shown me they can consistently do it. You've got to start showing against these other teams now. You've given them a pass because the first 2 teams are really good pass rushing the passer. Daniel Jones threw for 300 yards against the Broncos, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's allowed. It's allowed. But you've got, but the Colts offensive line is good. It's the difference. All right. But the offense, I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall because I always get back to the same thing. Until they can win at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, none of it matters.
Yeah.
Did Cam Ward, Brian Callahan, Calvin Ridley, Xavier Woods, Jarvis Brown, none of it matters. None of it.
Yeah.
If the 5 guys up front on each side of the ball cannot win, they will lose. And that's that simple.
So far, that's been a lot of the difference in these games is Cam Ward has been running for his life, and you haven't been able to affect the other quarterback as much. And it's put up or shut up time heading into this game against Indy this week. Like, you got to start to see improvement on both sides, or else this thing might spiral out of control real quick. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, anything, you can text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. We'll get into the special teams unit coming up next because they made some plays on Sunday, both of the last 2 Sundays. Want to give them some flowers in the final couple segments of the show. Coming up next here on Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game.
He has been excellent. I'm trying to think of a way to say it. So there's still obviously a lot of things to learn from, but 2 games in, the decision making, the ball handling, a big kick return, a big punt return, I got called back. I was hopeful for good decision making, first downs on punt return, good drive starts on kick return, but he's provided 2 big sparks in the return game. And I'm not surprised, but for a young guy to have that poise has been really good. And, credit the Rams, they hit some great dirty ball kickoffs, which are going to become a thing. And there's not many people at all that could have handled those kicks. Even if I had 2 or 3 or 4 returners back there, like those are tough balls. So his poise was very good, and all this stuff was really good learning for him. But we told the guys in the meeting room Monday, like, we got one.
Did you guys actually see this level of play from him in practice and in the, part of the disconnect is we didn't get to see in games and do these things. Did you see this coming from him this early?
I can't say that you did in practices or even preseason scrimmages or preseason games because we didn't have the opportunities. So a little bit was projection, to be honest, for sure. Like, you could see the ball skills, you could see the tracking, you could see poise, you could tell decision making, but when the bullets are live, it's kind of hard to know exactly what a guy's going to do. So to say, yeah, for sure, is not, I can't say that at all. But through 2 weeks of a lot of opportunities and a lot of different things that have been kicked at him, I think he's handled it really good. And I don't see any reason why that's going to be any different than what's going to happen in the future. I think it's just going to get better and better and better. And he probably has exceeded my expectations through 2 weeks for sure.
That was Bones Fossil talking about Chim DK and what he's been able to do in the return game through 2 weeks. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you for a couple more segments on this Wednesday. And if you're looking for bright spots with the Titans, the easiest one to find is the special teams.
Yeah.
Special teams overall in all aspects has been good. Johnny Hecker's been good. Joey Sly's 8 for 8 with distance.
He's my fantasy football MVP.
Yeah, he's got to have 15 points in back-to-back weeks?
Yes, he does.
Yes,
that's exactly what he's got.
Joe, he's been great. And Chim DK, a 70-yard kick return that set you up for 3 points at the end of the half in Denver.
And then a punt return.
Should have had a punt return for a touchdown.
And he's had a couple of decent returns along the way.
And the biggest and most important thing, he has caught the football. And he's made the right decisions.
And it's all looked clean. None of it's been scary.
Yes.
None of it's been scary. It's funny you bring that up because I did ask, we have TN Nation Saturday night after News 2 at 10, and we ask a poll question every week. And this week's poll question at Cory Curtis 2 on Twitter is, despite the 0-2 start, what are you most encouraged by outside of Cam Ward?
Yep.
Okay. And I asked that question for a variety of reasons. One is to avoid the whole show being about firing Brian Callahan, because that's what people want to talk about. But, the first easy 2 to put on the list were special teams and Alec Manor.
Yep.
And then, we debated, do we put Chim DK on there, or is he's more a part of the special teams?
Yeah.
And then, it's like, Joey Sly, he's more part of the special teams. So the other 2 I put on there are creating turnovers. And then the last one is the Chiefs are also 0-2. Is that what's encouraging to you? And when it started, special teams did really well as the poll has gone on, and that poll will be up for another 10 hours. As it's gone on though, Alec Manor.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's the fancy.
It's flashier.
He's flashier. But really, when you talk about like a bigger impact in the games right now, it's the special teams. But there was a lot of hope for Alec Manor. There was a lot of people who liked the tape coming out, but we talk about liking the tape on a lot of guys. All right. This team has not had a lot of success at that position in the draft.
We went through it.
Okay. So the draft and wide receiver has not been good to them. So to have this glimpse of, whoa, we've seen it before. We've seen it before. AJ Brown in Cleveland, gone. And there it started. And so, to see Alec Manor look like he belongs in the game, it makes the adjustment on the back shoulder throw. That may seem like, oh, it's just he's wide. No, that's a nice play. That's a nice play.
The catch down the sideline doesn't get enough love because 3 plays later, Cam Ward makes the touchdown.
And by the way, he was all the way in the right side of the end zone.
Yes.
And he did what a lot of rookies wouldn't do. he kept playing.
Yes.
He kept playing and gave his quarterback a chance. There's so much about that play with Ellick that's good that, it's not just he made a good combat catch. It's that he kept playing and gave his quarterback an opportunity. And even though he'd been running all over the field, still went up, caught the ball at its highest point, and made a combat catch for a touchdown. It was really, really good. How about another play that he made in the game when Cam Ward steps up in the pocket and just kind of does that shot put pass forward?
Yeah.
He is running across the middle. He found an opening and stopped. He could have kept running, but he said, I got to give my quarterback a space to go here, and he did. It's a veteran play, all right, from a young guy. There's a lot to like there. It's still early, but that is way more than, outside of A.J. Brown, what other young receiver has shown us that much?
Nobody. Corey Davis had his flashes.
Yeah, no, Corey Davis was a good
Corey Davis
player.
was the 5th overall pick,
yes,
and he never lived up to that.
No, he was a starter in the NFL, and he was a good player. Should have been a 1,000-yard receiver that one season and didn't finish the deal.
Yeah.
But his expectations were really high,
right,
that he should be good. And he was certainly better than Treylon Burks has been for this football team. But, outside of exceeding expectations, I think Alec Iamaner is kind of there right now, 2 weeks in. Now, where is he 4 weeks and 6 weeks? It's got to continue. Can't just be a flash.
Yes. And you look at that touchdown catch, and that's this is going to sound over the top, but that's what Mahomes and Kelsey have been doing for 10 years of just knowing where the other person wants you to go.
Yep.
And it kind of seems like the opposite of what you should do when Cam Ward's rolling right to go back left. But he knew that Cam Ward, I'm sure that's something that has happened in practice before, where Cam Ward wants him to just go to the open area on the field and
find open space.
I have the arm strength to get it there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can question the decision from Cam Ward. I would like to see Cam Ward not try that all that often.
Yeah.
But it was so impressive to see those two rookies be on the same page when the play broke down and be able to make that play.
Now, we started this about special teams, so we should get back there and get back to Chim DK.
Yep.
Who has also been a better player than a lot of Titan fans were giving him credit for when he got drafted, because they all wanted Iamaner more than they wanted DK. The Titans wanted him because he was fast and because he could return punts and kicks.
Yep.
He's done both of those things better than expected. We like to pick on Brian Callahan for play calling. I like to say play calling is easy to pick on when you're not very good. All right. It's tough to call plays when you can't block. All right. That's when it gets really tough to do. But one thing I have liked about what Brian Callahan has done is he's been creative in trying to get Chim DK the football.
Yeah.
Whether it's been on a jet sweep or on a reverse or on
flip
a
back. Yeah.
A variety of ways to getting the ball into a guy's hands who can win with the ball in his hands on his feet. And, Arthur Smith did that with Jonnu Smith. He figured out he was a guy who could win individual battles for him. I remember when Derrick Henry was hurt and they brought Jonnu into the backfield.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, their best running back right now is 81.
Yep.
And so it's part of coaching is recognizing what you got and how to get the most out of it. And it's exciting to see that DK, when we didn't even know if he was going to be active the first few weeks. We talked about this.
Yeah.
That we thought Prochet was going to make the team and return punts the first couple of weeks, and that DK would probably be inactive. Well, not only has he been active, he has been a factor. And so, this isn't a defense of Brian Callahan. This is a defense of Mike Borgonzi's draft class right now.
Yeah.
That he's got at least 3 good ones that we know of. Cam Ward, Alec Iamaner, Chim DK, if they continue down this path. Need to see more from Femi, but he's playing a lot.
He is.
So he's playing a lot. Need to get Kevin Winston on the field. And they need more from Gunnar Helm.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm has more ability than they're getting from him right now. He needs to be a bigger part of the passing game, and he needs to improve his blocking dramatically fast.
Yes. But overall, you look at the rookie class so far, and you're right. You have 3 who have already shown that they can do it at the NFL level. Got to show it consistently. And then 3 guys who the jury's out, but again, it's only 2 weeks. And Femi has made some plays. he hasn't made plays the way you need him to make plays, which is beating a tackle one-on-one and getting to the quarterback. Like, eventually that is what you drafted him to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the hope for him right now. I think the hope for him right now is to set a strong edge.
And I mentioned it to you during the break. The play right before Puka Nakua's touchdown early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch it, and Femi disposes of a tight end. Like, just runs through him and blows that play up. Like, that is a big play from Femi Oladejo on 3rd and 1. It kind of got washed out because you gave up a touchdown on the very next play. But you're seeing flashes from Femi, even though, again, you drafted him in the 2nd round eventually to be a guy who impacts the pass rush.
Harold Landry was a 2nd round player.
Yes.
Who impacted the pass rush. Whether you think it was enough or not is another discussion, but he's got more sacks than anybody for the Titans in the last 10 years.
3.5 sacks already this year for Harold Landry.
So so Femi eventually needs to be that guy. And I think it's encouraging. It's damning of the roster, but also encouraging that four rookies are starting.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see the young core at least starting to build up. You've got the rookies this year. Once Latham and Sweat get back on the field, you've got Jarvis Brown. Like, there is a young core that is starting to build. You need to see them improve consistently.
And there is a belief that Jackson Slater is going to be a player for this team down the line.
Yes.
And there's a reason Kevin Zeitler is here on a 1-year deal. Number one, he's 14 years into the league.
Right.
But I think number two, I have not heard this, but I'm assuming the hope is that next year Slater is ready to win that job.
Right. I think that was kind of the expectation from Titans fans. Is like, this is kind of a redshirt year for him. He gets to learn behind Peter Skoronski, Lloyd Cushenberry, Graham Zeitler, or I always say Graham Zeitler. I'm mixing Graham Glasgow and Kevin Zeitler, who are together on the Lions line. Kevin Zeitler, and next year he can step into a starting role. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. One segment left on this Wednesday. We will wrap up the show and get you off to Chase and Big Joe right after this. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Why do you do this to me, Parker?
I just wanted to end the show with a little spice.
End the show with the touchdown song that everybody loves out there in Nissan Stadium. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Last call for phones as we wrap up the show. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. Also, Teron Davenport going to join me for the full show tomorrow. Excited to have TD. We'll give you your chance to talk to TD at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Also, Andrew Allegretta from Vanderbilt Football will join for his weekly visit. So excited for the show tomorrow. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Doug from Nashville is on the line wanting to talk Titans. Doug, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, you guys made a statement, and I'm all about numbers. You said there's 4 rookies starting, and then you couple that with the couple of one-year players. I asked this question, is that enough of a recipe to save Callahan's job? And if it is, I need somebody to pour some water on the ground and walk on it, perform a miracle or something.
Doug, thanks for calling. No, I don't think that the rookies performing well is enough to save Callahan's job. Like, I think that is a good start to Mike Borgonzi's tenure here. Like, he should get most, if not all, of the credit for that draft class. Callahan has to show that he can improve the players that he's been given. Like, that is the task of Brian Callahan this year. He has been given a roster that I think objectively has more talent than last year's roster did. You brought in what seems to be a good rookie class. You added more talent on the offensive line. You added some players in the secondary. Like, this should be a better team than it was last year. Brian Callahan has to prove he can get the most out of these players. The rookies showing that they can be productive players, I don't think that does much for Brian Callahan's job prospects. Now, if those guys are being utilized in the best way, then sure, like Chim Dike and Alec Iman are showing flashes. That is part of Brian Callahan's offense. So, like, Brian Callahan using those players well does shine well on him, but like, just because the rookies are looking good, I don't think necessarily helps Brian Callahan keep his job. He's got to show that overall he can move this team in the right direction and develop these players into guys who can be a core for a playoff team in a couple of years. I like Doug from Nashville saying that if they save Brian Callahan's job, he needs somebody to walk on water and perform a miracle. But like, no, I don't think the rookies playing well is enough to save his job.
No, it's not. Look, I will be a broken record. There's one thing that can save his job, and that's for the offensive and the defensive lines to start winning.
Yep.
And if they do that, they will start winning games. I am confident of that. I have watched this league for over 30 years professionally, and I am confident that if they can start winning at the line of scrimmage, it will portray itself on the scoreboard.
That is always where it starts. And Mike Borgonzi has said that they want to build this team through the trenches. And that's why you invested in Dan Moore and Kevin Zeitler this offseason. That's why you take Femi Oladejo with the 52nd pick. Like, they're doing their best with that. But again, it does take more than one offseason to fix this thing. And you also need your guys healthy. Like, again, we talked about Sweat and Latham were not out there on Sunday.
And look, we've talked about who's got the better roster, right? Well, that doesn't always determine who wins and loses. We for a long time had what we called the Vrabel special, right?
Yeah.
Where, hey, the Titans really have no business winning this game. And then, of course, they win it because Vrabel's got them in position to do some stupid stuff. And they get it done. And Mike Vrabel had his shortcomings, but there were some things he was really good at. And getting the most out of a limited roster at times was one of them.
Yes.
There, like I said, I don't want to go over things he was good at, things he was bad at. But, for this team, it's okay to win when you're outmatched. But the first part of winning, like I've talked about, line of scrimmage, is not beating yourself.
Yep.
Okay. So, they will lose fewer games if they don't fumble to start the fourth quarter. All right. If they don't commit double-digit penalties, these are all things that are under their control.
Yes.
All right. And so you can be a little outmatched on the roster and still win the game.
Yep. And it's tough. You mentioned the fumble on Sunday. Starting off the game, you pick up a first down, it gets called back for a legal man downfield.
Yeah.
You false start, you get sacked. Boom.
That was
you're
a
punting.
tough call.
Like,
I saw that replay and I was like, was he really?
Right. Those are things that the self-inflicted negatives
and that's a veteran.
Right.
I mean, Kevin Zeitler's the last guy you expect
Yes.
that call from.
Yes.
I mean, and I'm not sitting here condemning Kevin Zeitler, but
that's 2 penalties in 2 weeks that have basically taken away a first down from the Titans.
I mean, when John Njoku jumps off sides or false starts,
you kind of expect it.
You're like,
yeah,
saw that coming. And then he gets beaten. Yeah, I kind of saw that coming. But you don't see Kevin Zeitler getting called for the penalty. I don't know. I think he had like 4 penalties last year.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not something that's happened a lot. But yeah, I mean, that group needs to be better. And I know I keep saying it because it's not all on them. I mean,
right.
Of course, it's not all on them, but that's where it starts.
Yep.
I mean, it's a physical game.
Yep.
And, I guess it's my Chicago black and blue division coming out in me. But I mean, like, go back to the Jimmy Johnson Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
1-15, right? First year, awful. Drafted Troy Aikman that year. He got concussed about 17 times. They go on and, of course, they add Emmitt Smith and Jay Novacek and Michael Irvin and all those guys. But what else did they add? A Hall of Fame offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, they just had horses. Nate Newton up there, Stepnoski. I mean, they just had studs across the front. The 85 Bears offensive line and of course, defensive line were outstanding.
Right.
What was the mark of Joe Gibbs in all of his championships? Was it the quarterback?
The Hogs.
That's right.
Yep.
He had a different quarterback, a different running back every time, but he had the offensive line.
Yep.
All right. So again, we can focus on all the pretty things, but it's the ugly things, the big uglies, the 330-pound guys that have to win. And I know it's boring and I know it's simplistic, but at the end of the day, it is that simple.
Yep. And Titans were without 2 of those guys on Sunday. They will practice this afternoon. We'll find out if Latham and Sweat were out there shortly. That'll do it for us, Cory. Thanks for coming in.
Word.
Talk to you next week. Tomorrow, Teron Davenport. I'll be out at Hermitage Golf Course for the Pella Golf event. Excited for that. Chase and Big Joe are coming up next. You're on 102.5 The Game.